G'day YouTubers and thank you for tuning in to today's, well, sort of a very special recording. And I'm about to turn the brightness down because, well, I'm actually filming this video at 1 a.m. And I'm actually going to be talking about the Gen Alpha topic, which I've been thinking about recently. And I remember talking about it in May, but I haven't really fully covered about it yet. And we have a new word in our, well, let's just say our thesaurus dictionary thingamajiggy, whatever we're going to call it. And the word is called brain rot. Now, everybody knows what brain rot is, and I'm actually going to be talking about it very respectively, specifically somehow, because there's been a very big trend of kids on the internet, and it's really sad that younger children of today, and it's like this with people in, well, let's just say in the Gen Z era, or let's just say the later part of the Gen Z era, where I would probably guess people who were born in, well, let's just say 2007. That's probably my opinion. And I think that would have been a very big trend for those who were born in, of course, it's during, you know, after, say, during the iPad generation, which was released, let's just say, between the 2010 and onwards sort of generation, you call it, which we call it the Alpha generation. And as I'm playing 2048, which is a great relaxing game, unfortunately, there's been some very dark moments for that generation, and I think this is really damaging. And what I've just been watching, and of course, yes, I have been watching Skibbity Toilet online, as you may have noticed, and that behavior, when I just realized, I actually did watch a few TikToks. In fact, quite a lot of TikToks recently, and I know people are going to get really offended about that, but the reason why I came for TikTok was probably because of the alpha generation brain rot phenomenon that has been going around ever since the skibbity toilet phenomenon was a big thing. Like, we never ever thought, you know, skibbity toilet and, that one American state called Ohio and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Phantom taxing, rizzing. I mean, I could think of several words. I could probably say skibbity, but then that actually means very good or very bad. You know, I could definitely say Ohio is a great state, but then, Alpha Generation kids would say that's not very good. It seems like that the most scary part about Alpha Generation slang is that it's basically changing the way we live these days. And I think that's a very powerful and very scary, but also, I think that just sort of proves to me that Gen Alpha is becoming possibly the most narcissistic out of all of the generations that we're coming across. And I'm actually doing terribly in this game. The game I'm playing is 2048, where if you have to make like the number 2048, which is somehow a big challenge. And that to me, whenever I look at subjects about brain rotting and stuff, and we already talked about content farms with, popular franchises like The Amazing Digital Circus, Elsa Gate, and content farms of like, we've been somehow talking about really good kiddie content on YouTube, which unfortunately leads to some very intimidatingly inappropriate adult like behavior, including violence, sexual behavior, and also, blood and gore, some scary scenes involved that would probably give children nightmares. And hey, Skibbity Toilet would potentially give people the heck, the heck out of it. There was a lot of scary jump scares in Skibbity Toilet. Like, I've actually watched quite a bit of it, and I remember watching the first episode, and I actually got scared by that part where the Skibbity Toilet jump scare was coming into involve. And whoops, I should have done that. I think it's because I had saliva as I'm just speaking here. So yes, the Skibbity Toilet was quite scary at the near end of the episode. In fact, quite a lot of it. I can't say the YouTuber's name because it could get me into some very big legal issues and trouble because it might involve in like swearing. as you may know. Somehow, I'm just straightforward, you know. Man, I don't think I'll be able to beat this level. This is gonna whiz me up to the top. Yep, I'm doomed. Okay, let me just do another jump cut before I should talk about it even more. Okay, I've actually finally resetted the 2048 game. So yes, yeah. What's also been very problematic is that because children are now glued into our screens, they're actually more glued into the screens. And what's even more sadistic about the alpha generation is that as a narcissistic sort of generation, it really sort of doesn't care about other people and stuff. It really likes to go in their own ways of living. And they tend to see the iPad or the tablet or the computer or the console, anything technological, anything technological is their commodity, which in a sense is a really big problem in the alpha generation community. And I've seen a lot of very nasty and gnarly stuff on YouTube. Basically really violent videos on YouTube, as you may have noticed. And that's the part I seemingly don't like. But hey, you can even, sandwich that with Fortnite. But then, oh my crikey's, I feel tired, but I just can't stop talking. But yeah, all of this Fortnite BS that's been going around at the moment. And I mean, Fortnite has been doing exceptionally well, especially right up towards when Gen Z is becoming in its, mature form. And, we are straightforward moving into a very adult side of the Gen Z era, which is, of course, it's quite, of course, scary, quite scary somehow. Yes, so as we entered the mature side of Gen Z, and I don't know how this is gonna be straightforward. I'm just straightforward. Thinking about. Do you think the world is going to end because we're going to reject children because of this stupid generation and whatnot? Yeah, I can't obviously really quite recall. Like, apart from these skibidi toilet memes and, what's that other thing I also looked at on the internet that was very popular? Like, oh, is that the. Hang on, is that the Cotton Eye Joe song, Chicken Nugget? What was it called? The Roblox face man chicken nugget. Hang on, is it called Gagagadi Gadagadagadagadao? Or is it. How do you pronounce it? Let me just pronounce his name very correctly. I'll do this in multiple attempts. Oops, I was nearly gonna reject doing that. Oops, I made a mistake here. Sorry about that. Gagagadi Gadagadagado. I think it's called, or is it Gadagadi Gadagadagadagadagado? Or something like that. I think it was the name of that chicken nugget meme that alpha generation children really seem to love, and teenagers. Gagagadi Gadagadagado. Or is it Gagagadi Gagagagagago? Something like that. I've been married a long time ago. It actually kind of reminds me of that, what's that other meme that was also quite big? When I Met You in the Summer. That popular Calvin Harris song became very popular on the internet. I think what's very sinister about the internet today is that I think we are very straightforward cursed whenever we make something on the internet based on, like, already popular trends, like, rizzing and skibidi toilets and stuff. I could say rizzing is all to do with food theft, or the word gyat, GYATT. The word gyat referring to, like, people's buttocks. I mean, that's really disgusting. I think alpha generation really needs to stop. I think what I'd probably say is, and it's very much normal for many children, and of course it's just like the Elsagate phenomenon. People will just endlessly, continuously watch the same thing over and over and over again. It is complete shite. And I try not to swear here because I know that on my YouTube channel I just don't really like to pretty much use any profanities that are present on my YouTube channel, but I always seem to keep myself very clear that, I do use profanity when I'm not making videos on YouTube or anything like that, because, obviously, this is what my YouTube my YouTube channel works here. I don't allow profanity, I just don't allow swearing. That's it. Just euphemism, okay? Euphemism is better than swearing. Okay, people would probably make a great big debate whether this is going to be a necessary thing to talk about. So, yes, going back to the skibby toilet phenomenon, and I know the problem hasn't been fixed because, it's still on its very immature side with a lot of children still heavily relying on touchscreen devices. And of course, yes, the next thing they'll be crying once their parents are becoming stricter. They just ground them and they just force them not to do anything with their tablets and stuff. I think that's a very interesting judgmental affair to talk about it because, because the majority of alpha. Oh my god, crikey, I feel so tired, man. But the majority of the alpha generation kids that we're just seeing is that I think what we're seeing is very meaningless people today. I think that's a very scary aspect. And we all know that the alpha generation people are the children of the millennials, and in fact, the offspring of them. So it seems like that, we are nearly going into a world where it's a complete flash in the pan, whatever you want to do sort of society thing. Okay, so maybe I might be just being a bit harsh, but that's how generations of today are like. It seems like that, it's almost like as if we're going into a straightforward, non-cohesive mannerism that we're going into. And, somehow we all know that the pandemic caused a nasty and negative effect to our devices, not like the bright light here. So yes, obviously the pandemic was one to blame, but hey, we can't rewind history because, yep, that damage is already done. That's just like that game over part in the game, isn't it? But the part that I really don't seem to understand is that when I watched a lot of TikToks, and I mean that's very much, the fact that you just can't shake it. So all I know about Gen Alpha is it's growing, and I mean it's not the biggest gen in the world, but it's certainly one of the most well known, along with Gen Z and millennials and Gen X people and baby boomers. Everybody knows that OK Boomer meme on the internet. It's just too crazy. But hey, I could definitely do a 20-minute talk and just say whatever the hell is going on with, society of today, Of course, yes, we already had Gen Zs having brain rot, and yet we've also got the other generation coming at next as our major successor here. And, Gen Z people would just, like me, would probably get, turned off by all of these new sensations of what they've created. I'm really somehow surprised that, Gen Z has stood the test of time of becoming a mature and wiser generation, yet due to its impulsivities, it's like, alpha generation doing the same thing. We just can't keep our pressures. We have the ability to just sort of keep our pressures away, but at the same time we just don't. Okay, so I think, of course, yes, because of TikTok, I feel like everyone's getting addicted now by this new phenomenon. Okay, so yeah, and of course, yes, what's also amazing is, and the scale of alpha generation kids being kicked out of school is amazing. It really has led to a lot of a loss of teachers and also teacher staff, and I think that's going to put education on the very dark side. Would you agree on that? That to me does seem to speak. Whenever I think about, all of these alpha generation phenomenons, it speaks volumes of just what they actually say and what they actually show. And to be honest, that powerful behavior is scary. And it's like that with many other generations when they're at a very young status. In fact, Gen Z people would have actually freaked out a lot of Gen X people when they were parents. Of course, that's very much just like my parents. They are born in the Gen X era. But then, hey, what are the consequences? Lots, of course. Oh, God. I just can't speak whenever I'm this so flippin' tired. Yeah, I nearly swore. Thank goodness for that. So, obviously, a child really loves their touchscreen devices, in particular the Alpha generation, and they see it as part of their way to stimulate something that makes them feel happy, not the other way around. When you have, very overprotective parents, and straightforward strict ones too, disciplining their child in order to not actually focus on that phenomenon for, well, let's just say a hectic longer amount of time. I think it just goes to show you that humanity is at a crippling tipping point. And because of this, I think that's why, I mean, it is concerning that the birth rates of many British people, especially in generations like today, they are falling. It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it, of having no children. Just imagine of just how much pressure and nothing to go. It's just beyond crazy. I've always been talking about this whole Alpha generation thing, and I can really make a separate video about even more stuff about Alpha generation, Gen Alpha, and all of its positives and negatives. I just don't really know. It's really just tiring me the crap out of me. I mean, I could just leave the whole video here, but I just want to give myself a bit more minutes and stuff. Let's just say 2. Because, what's there to not really like about me just making videos on YouTube of what to not actually make? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just pretty much done after this game. So, unlike those bloody, egotistic, sycophantic, shirling, Gen Alpha people, please be like me, okay? Very importantly, wise, with a very faint screen that looks like this. If you really enjoyed this video, please give this video a good like, subscribe for more flat videos in the future, and before I end this video, always make sure that anyone who is from Gen Alpha is strictly maintained. Maybe some very tough restrictions about, people from Generation Z, or I mean, the Alpha generation, of course, and, train them to become the next person, and just make them well disciplined as much as you can. Anyways, I better leave this video here before I get into way too much trouble talking about this whole brain rot content. And we're seeing like thousands and hundreds, if not views, in TikTok, of course, possibly like the millions. It's just beyond crazy seeing that there. I feel like I'm somehow being inundated by this complete nightmare of a phenomenon. I mean, curse Gen Z. I think it's our fault for spreading such toxic stuff onto the internet, and I think that's probably the reason why. And that's possibly about it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you don't get brain rotted as your aliens, of course, you Alpha generation psychopathic children. Just learn how to grow up and start a new living. Before I should probably rant. Anyways, I should probably leave this video here as always. Thanks for your time listening here, and goodbye for now. That's it.